All right, let's jump right in. In this explainer, we're going to explore what our power of reason really does and what it doesn't. And we'll start with a really clever experiment that kind of peels back the curtain on how our minds actually work. So picture this. You're walking down the street, and someone with a clipboard stops you. They ask if you've got a minute for a quick survey. And hey, for once, you actually say yes. Let's see what happens. So the setup seems pretty straightforward, right? You get a clipboard with statements about different political and social issues. Things like, if an action might harm the innocent, it is morally reprehensible to perform it. You just rate how much you agree, you hand the clipboard back, and then the experimenter asks you to explain a few of your answers. Simple. But here's the twist. While the experimenter has the clipboard, they do a little sleight of hand. They actually swap some of the statements you just answered with their exact opposite. So that statement about harming the innocent, now it might say, it is morally permissible to perform it. But get this, your original rating, the one showing you strongly agree, is still there. So now it looks like you strongly agree with the opposite of what you actually believe. So what do you think happened? Well, here's the crazy part. Fewer than half the people in the study even noticed the switch. The majority just went with it. They started confidently explaining and justifying positions that were the complete opposite of what they'd said just moments before. And this just goes to show our incredible, almost limitless ability to come up with reasons for, well, pretty much anything. There was this classic experiment back in the 70s where people were asked to choose their favorite pair of stockings from a few options. And they had no problem justifying their choice. They'd say things like, oh, this one looks more durable, or I just prefer the color. The catch? Every single pair of stockings was identical. You see, in situations like these where our gut feelings are kind of weak, our reason doesn't step in to be an objective judge. Nope, it just scrambles to find a justification for whatever impulse is slightly stronger at the moment. We're basically rationalization machines. It's like Benjamin Franklin said, so convenient it is to be a reasonable creature since it enables one to find or make a reason for everything one has a mind to do. But, okay, there are definitely times when using our reason makes a real difference in our decisions. So let's dig into that, though you might be surprised by how it actually plays out. For example, in an experiment by a psychologist named Tim Wilson, people were brought in to rate 5 different posters. Now, one group just gave their ratings, that's good, but the second group had to rate the posters and write down an explanation for why they made their choices. And just that simple act of having to reason about it actually changed which posters they liked best. So does all this extra reasoning help us make better choices? Well, not exactly. It's kind of shocking, but in every single one of these studies, more reasoning led to worse decisions. Take that poster experiment. People got to take home their top-rated poster. Weeks later, the ones who had to explain their choices were actually less happy with their poster than the people who just went with their gut. Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating. Let's see how adding a new option messes with our reasoning. At first, people had a choice between 2 beers. Beer Deluxe, high quality but pricey, and Beeros, lower quality but cheap. The choice was pretty much split, 50-50. But then they added a third beer, premium beer. It's just as expensive as Beer Deluxe, but its quality is lower. And with that obviously worse option on the table, suddenly way more people chose Beer Deluxe. And here's another great example. People were offered a gift of chocolate. They could choose a small, heart-shaped one or a big, expensive one that was shaped like a cockroach. Now, when they were told to just go with their feelings, the choice was split. But when they were asked to reason about their decision, most people picked the big, roach-shaped one. You see the pattern here, right? In all these cases, our reason pushes us towards the decision that's simply easier to justify. We can tell ourselves, well, Beer Deluxe is clearly better than premium beer for the same price, or it would be silly to pass up the bigger, more valuable chocolate just because of its shape. This is what we call reason-based choice. And this pull to find a solid justification is so strong, we're actually willing to pay for it. I mean it. People will literally spend money just to have a clear reason for a decision they're about to make. Let's try another scenario. Say you just finished a really tough exam. You're exhausted, you have no idea if you passed. Just then, you see a fantastic deal for a vacation package to Hawaii. It's super cheap, but the offer expires tomorrow, and you won't get your exam results until the day after that. What do you do? Well, in the experiment, they told one group of people that they had passed the exam. And you know what? Most of them decided to buy the vacation package. Their reason?
It was a well-deserved reward. Then they told another group that they had failed. Most of them also bought the package. Their reason? They needed a break to recover.
So you'd think that the people who don't know their results would just buy the package anyway, right? Since they're going to buy it no matter what happens. Wrong. Most people in that group chose to pay a non-refundable fee just to wait for the results. Think about that. They were literally paying money to buy a reason, either I deserve a reward or I need a break, for a decision they were probably going to make anyway.
So why on earth would we do that? Well, it's because making a choice that's easy to justify to others can sometimes be more important than making the most logical, practical choice for ourselves. This gets us into the idea of social rationality.
See, we're social creatures, and we are constantly sizing each other up. We're always evaluating how competent and reliable people are, and we often do that by looking at the reasons they give for their actions. And since having a good reputation is really important to us, we want our actions to be based on reasons that other people will easily see as, well, good reasons. What this means is that sometimes it's actually better for us to make a choice that isn't the absolute best in practical terms, but is way easier to justify to other people. We might lose a little bit on the practical side of things, but we score major social points, which, in the long run, can give us a much bigger payoff for our reputation. But this whole thing creates a kind of tension. There can be a real conflict between just grabbing for an easy, socially approved justification and doing the hard work of finding the truly best reasons and arguments for something. Back in the early 1800s, the most famous doctor in Paris, a guy named Dr. Bruce Sy, claimed that all fevers needed bloodletting. That was the easy, socially justifiable thing to do as a doctor. But a younger doctor, Pierre Louis, wasn't so sure. He decided to actually evaluate it. He collected data and discovered that patients who were bled early in their illness were actually more likely to die. He had a powerful argument against the common practice, and even though it was a big risk for his reputation, his evidence-based ideas eventually won out. So, which one wins in the end? The easy justification or the real argumentative strength? The answer isn't always so clear. Let's look at one final puzzle that really highlights this conflict perfectly. Okay, last one. Imagine you paid $35 for a basketball ticket. The game is 60 miles away, and on the day of the game, a massive snowstorm hits. Now be honest, are you more likely to try and drive through that storm if you paid for the ticket than if you got it for free? Most people say yeah, they'd be more likely to go if they had paid.
The social justification here is super simple. Wasting is bad. Of course, economists have a strong argument against this. They call the money you spent on the ticket a sunk cost. It's gone. You can't get it back. So logically, it shouldn't have any impact on your decision about your future safety and enjoyment. But, and this is the key, there's a social function at play. Sticking with a plan, even when it's no longer the best idea, can signal to other people that you're dependable, that you follow through. So which one wins, the easy justification or the stronger argument? Well, it often comes down to the social benefits on the line.